might end up longer than anticipated. I don't know. Here's a comment made a month ago on ABBTM's video. Krispy Kreme donuts being given out for people who take the vaccine, the coof or whatever you call it. Tiny Tim, real ministries don't report on news, they preach expository studies. Look out, Timmy, your hypocrisy is showing. Famous last words there. I'm just going to show a screen. Bear with me. Oh yeah. Now I don't care what people do with their websites, channels, YouTube channels, Rumble. I'm just doing this to make a point. Bryan goes on to Jacob Thompson's Kanky website. He advertises it here.
Checked out winepressnews.com here, and
he could have got this information
article
anywhere else.
Interesting one here: vaccination persuasion teams in Turkey proved successful for Big Pharma. Yeah. NFL team to cut players if they're not vaccinated.
Get to the point, Bryan.
Not real surprising. This one here I want to make a mention. Okay, Texas megachurch to offer COVID vaccines after the services. All right, you can read this article here. We're not going to go through the article.
You didn't have to read it on Jacob's website.
Robert
You could have read it somewhere else.
Jeffries. He's a minister of Satan. No question about it. I've known this for years. This guy's wicked. He's a Baptist pastor. I have a theory, and I've had it for a while now, that a lot of these Baptist pastors are just Catholic. That's all that they are. And they're masquerading as Baptists. And these guys, they will all come out and they will say things against the Vatican to kind of win the trust of people. And then they'll come out later on and actually support Roman Catholicism. I'm going to show you proof of that here. But another man that's supposedly a Bible-believing Christian, we'll watch some of this here real quick. This man right here, Charles Lawson. He's supposed to be a King James Bible-believing preacher. Listen to what he says here in this sermon. Great is the mystery of godliness. April 19th, 2021. So not even a month ago. Okay, so what he says.
Watch carefully. They didn't preach theory. They didn't preach church. They didn't preach catechism. And catechism's fine. It has its place.
Catechism is fine. It has its place. Oh, really? This is fine? It has its place? The Roman Catholic Catechism? It's fine. It has its place? Why didn't anybody call him out on that? Look down at the comments. I love you so much, Pastor Charles. Pray for me, brothers. There's drug addiction down there. Stay strong, Pastor Lawson. May God bless you. 100 out of 100, I guess, there. Awesome vessel there. Praise Jesus. Thank you, Pastor. Stands there plainly and says the catechism is fine.
What's the context of him saying that, though? The catechism obviously isn't right.
I called out this devil a while back, November 14th, 2018, for the statements that he made in this video.
I mean, there's the Westminster Catechism and there's the...
Again, just listen to what he says here.
Oh, I don't know.
My brother made me aware of this, and it's kind of...
There's other types of catechism.
This thing of Charles Lawson here recently, this is November 11th, just a few days ago, 3 days ago, this came out. And he said, Lawson mentions, the Antichrist movement, the Antichrist system, and he does not say one word about, the church, the universal church of the Antichrist. Watch this.
That, in other words,
neither does Edward Fenninger or any of the other Fenningerites. I notice you haven't mentioned Fenninger lately, Bryan. Oh well. Anyway, that's enough of you. You and those skanks. in the Denlinger crew. Share another page. Krispy Kreme giving free donuts for being vaccinated. There's Tim Connon. He is a saved man. I don't know if it's on screen. Can you see that? There. Oh, that's it. Oh, you probably couldn't see that other screen catcher as you with Bryan. It's okay, I'll come back to that. I'm just eating a cheese sandwich. You'll have to excuse me for that. Well, here we go. Tiny Tim. Real ministries don't report on news, and yet Bryan does his little video, not on YouTube, because I know he hasn't done. He might have made it on there, but he's uploaded it to Rumble. Look out, Timmy, your hypocrisy is showing. Yeah. Well, there's Tim Connon's comment. I don't despise Bryan Denlinger, by the way, but I don't look up to him exactly. I don't exactly look up to him. Or any of them, really, in the Denlinger crew. Or the Fenninger crew. Basically a bunch of nasty individuals. Well, in fact, the Fenninger crew are worse than the Denlingers. But who cares? What's the difference? Yeah, I'll put. Well, I'm not gonna. Oh, I suppose no. I'm not gonna put the link to. Oh yeah, it's not Jacob's site, so I could put a link in. I'll have to excuse the fact that I'm having my sandwich. If you don't like it, you can always go somewhere else, can't you? I should have shortened that link, really. I'll put that link instead. There. And here's Tim's video on Krispy Kreme donuts. Not that it matters, it's a month old, but the hypocrisy of it. I mean, Bryan having a poke at Tim, because Tim used to go in live streams with Bryan. And so did Last Days Mays, Jeremy Carter. Out of all those four, there's only Jacob Thompson left. And he's written really disgusting book. Anyway. Right. What was this one? Linda and Deborah is. Oh, them. I'll delete that video. Now, oh, stop that screen. Anyway, Bryan, thank you for your hypocrisy, double standards, etc. That's up to you. Oh, if that's Messianic Believer, come on in the chat if you want. In the studio, can have a chat. I'll end the broadcast. We can have a discussion. If you can't comment in the chat, then I know who you are then, because There's only 3 people are blocked, or is it 2? No, there's only 2 people. Yeah. Oh, what a palaver with what's going on now. John gets kicked out of Stephen Anderson's crew. Then Bryan Denlinger's crew, although he wasn't really sort of 100% in, if you know what I mean. He was close friends with the Denlinger crew, I think. Not 100% sure. Now he's just annoying everybody. Watchman D is the latest. I don't find it funny, really. Anyway, I didn't want to get dragged into it. I tried to stay out of the way, but sort of. Anyway, let's just get rid of these websites. Go on, Tim. You know what he's like. But why stop yourself from doing videos and stuff? Is that noise? Doesn't sound good. Right. Come on in if you're just going to sit there watching. Oh. I did listen to Watchman D this afternoon. I do get the impression he could have been harsher. Not that I would encourage it. I'm not totally on board with everything he said. I know what the anti-Nicene so-called fathers are, but I don't think I would go to them for doctrine, not a chance. A website that he did give out is this one here. I'll put a short link. I'm not slagging him off, excuse me for that. Right, I'm not slagging him off, I'm just saying, okay, it's not a point of contention or anything, although, I mean, you couldn't pay me enough to go to look at the so-called early church fathers, anti-Nicene fathers. I mean, anybody who's described as a father, I wouldn't go to other than God, the only true God, but I wouldn't go to anybody who's been described or given the title of, like, early church father, anti-Nicene fathers. I had a look at the list on this website. I'll show you it now. Please bear in mind, don't start saying I'm just making a point, that's all. Not trying to cause an argument. If I want to cause an argument, I'm very capable of doing so purposely. Okay, as everybody else is. This website here, I put a link in, I'm sure I put it in. Just check that I did. It's the same one I've got on me, the clipboard or whatever you call it. Oh, I can't get rid of it now. Hold on. I'll get rid of it in a minute. What was I saying? Anyway, if you look at that site there, there's a guy there called Philip Schaff, or Schaff. It sounds like some sort of German name. It says here, well, obviously you can read it, the apostolic, I mean, I don't agree with that. Justin Martyr and Irenaeus by Philip Schaff. So he's writing about what these people said. Obviously, they probably didn't write in English. They may well have written in Greek, Koine Greek, Old Latin, or whatever, or something, maybe even Syrian, possibly. But I looked up this Philip Schaff guy. I don't know if this is his website. It might be. Oh, no, it can't be, because he died some years ago. But I looked up Philip Schaff. Oh, that's 1819. No, it's not his website. Right. Now, this is only a minor point, really. I mean, I suppose. But this guy was on the so-called translation committee for the New American Standard Bible. Now, anybody who knows anything, I mean, I'm not an expert on it. I keep saying this. I've only just bought her. I've finished reading her book, New Age Versions, last week. I'm in the middle of her other book now, In Awe of Thy Word, by Gail Riplinger. As I say, I'm not an expert. I'm not even trying to pretend to be. I'm not very good at pretending things, really. I mean, the New American Standard so-called Bible, what an absolute pile of tosh. It's as bad as the NIV. Its antecedents are in Alexandria, the Roman Catholic so-called manuscripts, Sinaiticus, Vaticanus, and other names will be associated with this Philip Schaff guy. People like Westcott and Hort, I think he might be in the right time period. Westcott and Hort, Madame Blavatsky, but where does it say? And I'll just have to do a search. Hopefully it will come up, because let me just give it another try. Sorry. I didn't plan this video, obviously. I'm very spontaneous, me. There we are. I'll type NASB. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, wrong word. Oh yeah. American Standard Version. Can you see that on screen, I wonder? No. Oh, it's Wikipedia. But there's Philip Schaff. I did a Wikipedia thing of him. I'm going to put share screen again. Bear with me. Philip Schaff. Okay, I know Wikipedia isn't the best one to go to. He also served as president of the committee. Now, bear in mind, that's president of the committee. He was in charge of the committee that translated, if you can call it that, the American Standard Version of the Bible. I mean, look at this here. Philip Schaff, working with the Evangelical Alliance Chicago. I didn't realise it went back that far. World Parliament. I didn't realise it went back that far. The World Parliament of Religions as well. Kirchenfreund. Schaff strove earnestly to promote Christian unity and union. It was his hope that the Pope, so-called, then Leo XIII, would abandon the doctrine of infallibility and undertake the reunion of Christianity. If they were Christian, there would be no need to go on about a reunion, would there, of Christianity? Right? Why would he be even concerned what the so-called Pope does? Yes, it's important to point out their lies, but why was his hope, at least partially, on what the so-called Pope Leo XIII was going to do? As if to say, oh, please abandon the doctrine of infallibility, like they're ever going to do. Reunion, and what a load of tosh. Reunion of Christianity. So this guy has written a book on the anti-Nicene so-called fathers, right? On that other website I showed you, I'll put the link to this Wikipedia. Go and do a Google search of your own. I'm not running around like a headless chicken for you. Right, here's a link to the Wikipedia page. It's not difficult to find out, really. But this is a page that Watchman D sent people to have a look at Justin Martyr. I don't know anything about Justin Martyr. I'm not slagging off Watchman D for doing it. I'm sure he felt that it was a sincere thing he was on about baptism as a means of illumination, or the waters of illumination. Now then, where's that? Did I take a screencast? No, of that. I did take a screen capture. Oh, it's gone. Anyway, if you go to watch his latest video, you'll see that link in the live chat. I suppose I could go there and find it. I did take a snap of it. Oh no, I know where I've got it. It's in my email address. Because I emailed it to myself, if you know what I mean. Took a screencast thingy, screen capture, and then sent it. Oh, maybe I could show that there without showing my email address. Give me a second. Please bear with me. This isn't to slag anybody off. I'm just saying. I mean, you know, people do what they want to do on their videos. It's a minor point, I suppose. I still do. I love church history. I used to study it a lot, actually. It's depressing after a while, though. Sort of encouraging and inspiring and depressing at the same time, you know. The cruelties of the Inquisitions and the Roman persecutions, and just totally. There's a link that was put on. Right, John. Oh, I'm not going to say. You know something? I'm not even sure I care. Really, and I don't mean that nastily. I didn't start that argument, right? I didn't. I mean, it's not that I don't want to be sort of defensive. You know, I'm trying to sort of. Well, I don't know. Not help him out. I don't want to kick anybody when he's down, and I don't believe he is down, because I know he's going to come back at him with some video or other. But I did try and tell him, Watchman D's not a Catholic. Believe it or not, I mean, I can smell a Catholic from a mile away. Sometimes I do miss the odd one. Like 18 months ago, I came across this YouTube channel. I can't remember his name, but I think from the title of his video or his channel, ex-Catholic something or other, using the KJV. I didn't look into it deeply, and then I got an inkling about 2 or 3 days later after I'd actually mentioned him. I thought, I'll go back to his channel and just double check. You know, because I subscribed, I was curious. Or I was going to go back or something. I don't know. I think I did subscribe. Then obviously later I unsubscribed. I found out what his so-called teaching was on Daniel, or was it Revelation? I can't remember now. Preterist. and something else. I mean, it was 18 months ago, and it didn't stick in my mind. See, if you're going to call people devils and all that stuff, and I'm thinking of Bryan in particular. Okay, I'm not in agreement with Charles Lawson saying what he wants. I mean, saying that about catechisms, but I mean, I don't know what catechism he was on about. But I'm not keen on catechisms anyway. Well, I don't need a catechism. I've got a King James Bible, And John, I've got to say this about your thingy on dispensational. I looked up the references you gave. Sadly lacking. Bad habit of, and I don't want to sound like some sort of grammar policeman, but don't quote verses out of context, which you obviously did, because at the end of some of those verses that you quote, there is a full colon or a semicolon, and there's certain words at the beginning of these verses that you give that illustrate and prove or show that they are a carry-on from previous verses in that particular chapter. I mean, I'll give you an example. You refer to 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 10 to 11, which begins, for whoremongers, for them that defile themselves. Well, that for whoremongers, obviously, it should be obvious, is a carry-on from 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 9 and backwards. In fact, I was going to quote that. Instead of going... let me pick another one. 1 Corinthians 9:17. You only quote that verse. Yes, it has the word dispensation, but I wouldn't have started that quote at verse 17. Had I gone back to verse 13, in other words, 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 13, and instead of stopping at 17, I would have stopped at least as far as verse 23. Right, that's just one example. 2 Timothy 2:15. I mean, you should really have started, instead of 2 Timothy 2:15 and just one verse, you should have gone to 2 Timothy 2 verse 7 right through to 2 Timothy 2 verse 21, because it's taken out of context. I know what rightly dividing the word of truth is, John. I'm not having a poke, I'm just saying. I was going to do a video on dispensation. There's only 4 verses, if I remember correctly, where it's actually mentioned. I don't think it's mentioned in the Old Testament. Dispensation. And I don't go into Greek as a rule. I could do. You're no good at it, John, really. No offense. But the root word for that word dispensation in the King James is economy. It's the same thing. It's translated from economy, from the Greek, into dispensation. It means the same thing. It's synonymous. Dispensationalism. I don't trust isms, John, apart from baptism. As far as I remember, there's only one ism in Scripture, and that's to do with baptism. Can't think of any other isms. No, I can't. I should check, really. But I mean, I saw a book advertised on a certain person's website for Clarence Larkin's book on dispensational teaching or something or other. Massive book. I have read 2 of Clarence Larkin's books. They were okay up to a point, up to about sort of 99% in or something like that. I wasn't going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I still have those 2 books, but I decided it was my discernment. But there's no way I'm going to buy a big massive book for 40 or 50 quid on dispensationalism when, I mean, there's only 4 verses referring to it. What do people mean by dispensational teaching? Really? What's the root of it? I've never... See, I had a discussion with somebody, what was it, over a week ago before this subject came up on a certain person's YouTube channel. And my understanding of dispensational thing, you know, all I said was, well, this is basically my understanding of what the different dispensations are. Different economies, how God deals with the body of Christ, the church, how he dispenses blessings and sort of authority or talents even to the body of Christ. Okay. You know, there's a big change in how God deals with people ever since the fall, obviously. And then the ark of the, you know, Noah's flood. And then for me, my understanding is John the Baptist was the end of the Old Testament. And Jesus, obviously, the beginning of the New Testament or New Covenant. And there's Pentecost. You know, I think of dispensation as along the lines of sort of major events like Jesus Christ's death, burial, and resurrection on the cross, ascension into glory, and seated at the right hand of the Father, Pentecost. And then there's what most people refer to as Daniel's 70th week, the time of Jacob's trouble. I don't think that the Great Tribulation is a title for that period of time. Obviously, there's the harpazo calling away, the rapture. All major events. But John, how can you? I mean, I've never heard this from any Christian that I know that's worth the salt. At the moment now, I don't know any on YouTube that are. But I have never heard any Christian that I would have anything to do with, that I've ever had anything to do with, even in jail, that would say what you did about the Gospels. That's all I'm going to say on it. Not judging you, not trying to condemn you. I knew you was going to come unstuck with Watchman D. You're trying to bite off more than you can chew. You can't even chew. I mean, you know, I could make other comments, John. I don't want to because I don't want to be cruel or awful. I'm not even trying to be awful, you know what I mean? But anyway. Oh, well, this video isn't about John. As a young lad who make mistakes, we all do, we all have done. But I've never taught a lie or expressed any biblical doctrine that's a lie. I've always been very careful about that. And I don't know why I put up with novices. Anyway, look, is somebody going to come in and chat to me? I'm a lonely old man. Nobody to talk to. Yeah, Tim's right. Brian's a hypocrite. Tim, if you ever listen to this video, which I doubt, it's obvious that you're never going to be back in the Bryan Denlinger crew again. Why would you even want to be? Seriously. Let me just double check something.
Are there any women here today? Very well. Bye.
Oh. Just wondering. Right, I'm going to go in a minute. If you're just going to sit there watching and not comment, you know. I'm going in a minute. At the end of this piece of music, and then that's it. Piece of music, then a countdown, and then I'm gone. Bye. Try and stay out of trouble and not to be nasty with other Christians. If you can.